Well, I mean, I'll start by saying hello, I am Scarlet, and with me today we have Chary, the senior editor of GBA Temp, and we are going to talk about Bandai Namco's E3 press event and post-E3 press event, which I attended. In particular, talking about Code Vein, since I have a lot of footage of this game. But we'll talk about, what was it, Chary? Project Jump?
Jump Force, Hero Academia,
oh,
One's Justice, and Code Vein, Soul Calibur 6, Divinity Original Sin 2, Ice, Adventure Time, Ice something something.
It had an Ice King in it.
Yeah, that was definitely in there.
It was definitely in there somewhere.
Spoiler alert, his kingdom is melted.
So, to jump straight in, how was your E3 experience with Bandai Namco?
Bandai Namco's E3 booth was kind of cool. The cooler thing about their thing was the press kind of enclosure they had, which had these like magical doors that spun open into this giant like square enclosure room, and they just spun and they said like Bandai Namco on the door, and it's just really trippy. The booth itself was kind of generic. It was just a really over-the-top, air-conditioned kind of little place, and they had all the little booths there, and it wasn't as packed as I assumed it would be. Maybe I just had my appointment booked for a kind of relaxed time, but there was, like, nobody there. Besides Code Vein, everything was just like, oh, yeah, this is totally up for grabs to play.
So did you have the same games as us there then? Like it was Divinity, Project Jump,
everything was the
My
same.
Hero Acca.
Yeah, everything was the same between both our events, except for I think you got Ace Combat playable. We only had.
No, we didn't. The email lied.
Oh!
I wish we had Ace Combat.
They trolled you. I knew something was fishy. I was like, why would Ace Combat be playable, but not at E3, which was like 2 weeks earlier?
I was so excited. Like that, they lured me in on the promise of Ace Combat, but I got Code Vein that I wasn't expecting to be so good.
So, what are your opinions on Code Vein?
Well, it's weird. I have very little experience with Dark Souls as a comparison. I suppose I spent about half an hour to an hour playing the first one on PC, and all I can say is anime Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It just feels so fluid. All the movement just feels right.
And it has that just slight clunk to it that Dark Souls kind of has. Like, it's not...
I mean, how much experience do you have with Dark Souls?
I played a little bit of 2 vanilla and, like, a good chunk of hours into Bloodborne, but that's basically it for me. I'm not, like, some veteran.
Did you feel like a certain difficulty going from Dark Souls to Code Vein, even if it's only like a little bit of experience?
I feel like Code Vein's difficulty curve is way lower. I mean, it's still there, and it's still probably going to kick your butt if you're unexpecting anything.
Oh god, yeah, I've got lots of footage of that.
But I think if you're going in and you've played like every Dark Souls and you're like a master of Bloodborne, you're gonna be like, okay.
You see, when I was at the event, the staff was saying that the people they actually saw having the most difficulty with the game are the people who are experienced with Dark Souls. Because they're going into it thinking that this is Dark Souls. It's so similar, but the small things that are important in Dark Souls are completely off. Like iframes and rolling. You wouldn't notice it as a casual player, but if you're going in trying to get the perfect dodges, trying to preserve your health, you just think, fuck, is it me?
That's actually a pretty good
wrong?
Screw on their part. You just mess with people, whether that's intentional or not. I kind of dig it.
Well, I mean, Bandai Namco weren't actually the developers of Dark Souls, whether it was FromSoft, so...
Right.
Who is actually developing Code Vein? Because I swear Bandai Namco is just publishing it again.
It's the God Eater team.
Ah, okay.
Which is interesting because not only do they have Code Vein coming up, they're also working on God Eater 3. And I think it's just a Bandai Namco in-house studio. I don't know if they have an actual name. But I was surprised to hear that it was the God Eater team because that's not very Dark Souls-y of a game either. So they don't really have experience with the genre.
I haven't actually played God Eater, but I know it's similar to Monster Hunter, and I know Monster Hunter has similarities to Dark Souls. Like, loose ones, I'll give them that, but it's got its ties.
It's the Dark Souls of monster hunting games.
So what would Code Vein be? The Dark Souls of anime games?
Absolutely, or the Dark Souls of vampire games, either or.
See, the demo that I played, I had no idea it was about vampires, because this was my first experience of the game ever. I hadn't seen anything about it. I'd heard you talk about it and say, this is cool, you want to appreciate it in 60 frames per second, and that's all I knew.
Yeah.
Like, from what little I saw, I honestly thought it was a visual novel.
Oh my gosh. That was a bit of a genre shift, huh?
It sounds like a visual novel. I was so confused at why they're making such a big deal over it.
You just walk in, you're like, ooh, cute boys, where? And then just monsters come out and just tear you apart.
I mean, you talk about Code Realize so much, and I thought, is this a similar game?
No. You got by Japan.
I still haven't played Code Realize, so I wouldn't know the parallels anyway, but...
Real talk, I'd rather play Code Realize.
Wow. So what parts of the demo did you manage to explore in your time, then?
I let Hell's Malice take more of a lead because he's a huge Dark Souls nerd, but I did play a little bit, and I noticed the menus were... the whole thing just feels like they were just, like, watching the development of Dark Souls, and they're like, how Dark Souls clone-y can we get till they sue us? Just skating that fine line. And it's not a bad thing.
This could be the reason why they're being published by Bandai Namco, because they're just like, okay, then we'll cover you on this part, just make a game, we'll patch it up.
Right, and it's filling a niche because supposedly there's not going to be another Dark Souls game.
Supposedly, though.
Yeah.
Come on, it'd just be Bloodborne too, because it's not another Dark Souls game.
Yeah, Demon Souls too. But for now, they're filling the empty niche, you know? People are waiting, they're like, I need a Dark Souls game, I guess.
Do you think it does that job well?
I think it's gonna do what it's meant to. It's gonna get, like, anime people who like anime action games, and it's gonna be larger than a typical anime game, I would assume, because it's got the Dark Souls ties to it, and it's not as difficult as they're going to be assuming, so once they get past the, oh, it's not Dark Souls, and get used to the new mechanics, I don't think it's going to be as challenging as people are hoping, but I think it's still going to be a solid game.
From what I played of the demo, I could break it up into like 3 major parts. You had the starting area and the cliffs. Then you had the little mini area just after the cliffs that has... I don't know what to call him, the big boy with the axe.
Yeah, Axe Hammer Dude.
He shit me up. I don't want to remember him. And then obviously you just have the boss, which...
Right.
Did you get to try the boss?
No, because ours was timed. We had, it was in 10-minute shifts, so we kept picking it back up because there was no one queued to play it. But the game would end after 10 minutes, and I don't know if your demo was timed like that, but I was taking my time. I was, like, exploring. I was looking at the cliffs, waiting for things to jump out at me, like, going like a snail's pace. But then the game ended, and then Malice got to the boss and got absolutely kicked in the face with, like, and it timed out before it could be killed.
I mean, we did have, I think it was the same demo. Our demo was 15-minute intervals, but they just said, sit down and play as many games as you want. Because obviously we were there from, I think it was 6 in the evening till 10 at night, so we had a nice 4-hour shift just to do whatever we wanted.
That's pretty good.
So I got to explore every nook and cranny of the area, and it must have been an hour trying to beat that boss.
Oh no. Did you ever get him?
I got so close.
Oh.
I'll have footage playing in the background of my closest effort, but it never felt unfair though. It felt like whenever I was being hit, whenever I was losing, it was on me. The rolls were consistent, the attacks were quite clearly choreographed. It was really well designed.
I'm going to agree on that, except for the point of the camera. The camera had a very PS2 era, I'm clipping into things, I'm looking at the ground kind of thing, and you're having trouble controlling it because you're trying to focus, and then the camera's like, ooh, look at this rock! And then Axe Guy slams you into dust.
See, I didn't experience that as much as you might think. Like, it took me about an hour to realize that there was a lock-on button. Did you find that?
There was a lock-on button?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it took me an hour to figure it out, and it obviously just targets the nearest enemy. Like, well then, this makes things easier, especially on a boss in like a circular arena.
Oh, that is actually in Bloodborne. I should have assumed that. I shouldn't be as shocked as I am. But I did not actually find that in the game.
Well, I mean, when I first played it, I played it with all the basic equipment, because I thought, controls, who needs them?
Mash buttons to win.
And then obviously, as I kept getting hit and kept dying, I was like, okay, let's mix things up. So, did you try any of the different weapons or different costumes?
I didn't try any of the costumes, but I tried I think it was a regular sword, and then I found this lance thing. I think it was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, going back to the sword. And then this dude almost ninja'd me off a cliff, and I freaked out and rolled right into the axe dude and just got slam jammed, and that was when my demo ended.
Oh my god, the cliffs. I fell off those more than I care to admit. I don't know what it is about the slippery surfaces, but I couldn't stay on.
I didn't even know you could fall off the cliff until you mentioned that a few weeks or a few days ago. I was like, I wonder if I could fall off that, but I never managed to, but that sounds...
Oh no, I went to try and find out straight away. That was my first curiosity, and it came to bite me back every, 10 minutes.
Geronimo!
Oh, it's not good. I mean, that level we played was just entirely cliff face.
I know, there was a whole stretch. It was just all cliffs and surprise enemy encounters. And then once you get past it, you're like, oh, thank goodness I'm safe. And then axe guy.
Like, at first I tried to run away from him, and he just kept coming. What do?
You run and cry.
Like, the weapons, though. Obviously, you have the basic quick sword. I think that's the one you were using.
Right.
Then there's the great sword, which I ended up using a lot towards the end, and the other one I remember was the pole arm. That was a really fun weapon to use. It was like a nice middle ground between fast sword, swingy, slashy action. It was satisfying.
That sounds good, because the weapon differences is a huge thing, because that's one thing that Bloodborne lacked. Is that there was very little weapon differentiation. You had the 2 weapons and the 2 guns, and I think that was really it. But Code Vein was like, look at this, and this, and this, and that. And I remember the menu being a bit of a pain to navigate, much like Dark Souls games are, but I could see the options were clearly there, and the game did want you to try and make use of all that they were offering.
Yeah, exactly. It took me a solid half an hour, 45 minutes to figure out the menus, to figure out everything I could customize. Because obviously you had the different, what was it, blood types? Did you look into those?
I saw Malice messing with some of that, but I didn't personally.
I mean, I messed around with them. I didn't really understand what I was doing, but it felt good. Because what I realized was they alter your stats, quite obviously, and then you can wear different equipment based on that.
Ah, right.
And one of them was a really cool hood that had 2 arms that turned into, dragon claws, and I was like, what? Why wasn't I using this before?
So, the thing that confuses me the most is why it looks so far ahead in development. It looks like they've got everything nailed down.
Well, when I was at the event, they were telling me that the level that we got to play was 3% of the game.
Jeez.
So, while they might have this bit polished, it might not. They might have just focused on this one area, and it could just be 3% into development.
Oh my god. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised what with them. It's not a very large team as far as I'm aware. So they're working on 2 AAA titles at once. But I think their delay reason was that the game had already is almost ready to go, but it's to refine it.
Yeah, apparently they heard criticisms and responses from people that played it, and they thought that they needed to refine it further, which is odd, because I've not heard a bad thing about it.
I know, all the impressions from every major journalistic site is like, oh man, this is great, Dark Souls fans are gonna love it, oh my gosh, if you hate Dark Souls, you still might like it.
The only thing I really heard that was remotely bad was that the person next to me was commenting that the magic in the game is unbalanced and that it's disgustingly strong. That was it. That's the only, kind of negative thing I heard.
I heard that a bit too, but I mean, I think magic is entirely broken in Dark Souls as well. But I wonder if they're going to try and make it more Dark Souls, like, or what are they going to try and refine? Because I hope they don't try and deviate too much from what they've got set up, because from what I've seen, it's a great game.
I completely agree. I struggle to think of how they're going to add to this.
Yeah.
Especially, like, what it's going to take. They've got an extra 3 months minimum from this prediction that they're going to take to develop. What can they add?
Yeah, and it's weird that they gave it a generic 2019. They didn't tell us, like, winter, they didn't tell us spring, Q1, Q2. They just said, like, 2019 as if they don't really know themselves.
You have to wonder whether, after all these play sessions, they've seen it's got a positive reception, they're happy with it, and then they find a fatal bug later in the game and thought, fuck.
Oh.
Now we've shown it off, we'll use this as a reason.
Just hide it, sweep it under the rug.
I just can't see it needing 3, 6, 9 months to be polished at this point, if the demo is anything to go by.
Right. It's a confusing choice. I mean, they've clearly shown that they know what they're doing, so I'm willing to trust what they're choosing to do at this point, but at the same time, it's a little odd, and I'm a little wary.
I mean, a lot of people just go back to good old Miyamoto's quote that I, for my life, cannot remember, but I know he said it.
Oh, yeah, the delayed game is, or something.
Oh, eventually good.
Yeah, eventually good, but a game released early is forever bad, or something or other. The comment section of this is just going to be people like, how dare you not know the quote from our glorious Miyamoto-san?
It's okay, I knew he said it, that's the important part.
Yeah.
They are his words of wisdom.
So, do you want to discuss the other Bandai Namco games?
Which ones did you get to play then? Which ones did you take the time to play?
I glanced at Divinity, but I didn't play it. I really liked what I saw at Divinity 2.
I mean, Divinity is a strange game, because it turns out... Wait, before I continue, is Divinity 2 the same as Divinity Dragon Commander? Is it the same series?
I don't think so. This is Divinity Original Sin.
Is that the full game title? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine then. I wondered, because I saw in my Steam library a few days ago a game that I had never played before called Divinity Dragon Commander. I'm like, is this the same?
Oh no.
But no, right, Divinity 2. It's strange going into it for the first time. I was sat there by myself on a huge 4K monitor in Bandai Namco's office, and I had no idea what I was playing, to put it bluntly, because I thought, right, I probably don't have much time to spend in the game. I'll skip the intro. I'll just make a quick character and go into it.
Oh, you
this
never
was a
want to
mistake.
skip in RPGs, you fool!
I mean, there's like skipping Skyrim's intro. There's skipping even Final Fantasy's intro. All these big games, but
all these big games that don't have skippable intros. I don't think you can skip Skyrim's intro.
Shut up. But yeah, it was a complete mistake. Divinity 2 is just D&D, the video game, from what I played. And
yeah.
You need the background knowledge. You need to be willing to sit there to take in everything you're seeing and properly appreciate it.
It's incredibly detailed. We had a guy from Larian Studios come up and talk to us about it, and his speech actually compelled me to buy Divinity when it was on sale during the Steam Summer Sale, and I've been playing a bit of 1, and I'm absolutely loving it. And the thing is that it was so hilarious when he got up there. He's like, we heard you've released Divinity 2, and he's like, we got a Metascore of 93, and he's like, but that's not enough. He's like, we rewrote our intro with 50,000 extra lines of dialogue. He's like, this intro used to be 30 minutes. He's like, now this intro is a 15-hour Act 1. And I was like, holy crap. These guys are they go to the extreme. And I mean, there is so much dialogue. And what's really unique is that it's a co-op RPG. And yeah, it's a co-op kind of RPG. You can play it online with your friend and be like, hey, you want to play D&D but not online?
When I sat down, I wasn't all that excited. I loved the narrator just commenting on you and criticizing your actions. I bloody loved it. But I didn't get to do much. I fought a sheep. I set some things on fire. That was basically my experience. I got a general look at it. But the people next to me, they were so into it. They spent half an hour making a character on a console they will never see again. They read every little bit of text. They talked to each other, both of them, discussing their actions. It was honestly, it was A, adorable, and B, it was just so invigorating to see people care so much about a game and the decisions being made. It's not something you see anymore, and it's something I can really see people doing, just sitting down in a settee, a few friends, saying, right, how are we going to fuck up this save file? How are we going to make this narrator hate us? How are we going to make this story our own? Because the game seems like it gives you so many chances to do all of these things.
Yeah, it's incredible what options and diversity the game offers. I mean, not only can you make your own character, you can choose to play as one of their, like, preset characters and have your own story written out for you, or you can, like, make your own. And then there's all the classes, and the this and the that, and the dialogue options that change if you have a party member with you or not.
For me, and the time I had there, it was far too much to take in, but the little snippet that I saw a glimmer, and that glimmer was absolutely stunning.
Yeah. I don't even think 10 hours would be enough to, like, give you even, like, a little crack into what it is. But it was enough to make me be like, okay, yeah, I am on board with this. And I bought 1 and 2, and I was like, yes, give. I think that was the one, despite it already being released, I know this is, like, a enhanced edition or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was a bit curious about. Like, if this is enhanced, how enhanced is it? Because, I mean, as much as I loved it, it didn't seem like graphics were the main focus of the enhancement. It just looked fairly basic. Reminded me a bit of Diablo 3, of what I played of it. Was it Diablo 3?
Kind of, yeah. It's the same kind of top view.
It was a third game that I played, and it didn't look like it.
It had a 3. Might have been Sonic 3. Same difference.
But yeah, it didn't seem like graphics were the main focus of the enhancement, so if they didn't focus on graphics, you have to wonder how much effort they put into every other part of the game to call it an enhanced edition and to re-release it.
Yeah, I think it's just they fully went ham on the dialogue and everything else and the new characters.
One thing I will say, though, it was really, really small and insignificant, but I loved the little effect they have when you're moving the camera through a wall. Do you remember when it just fizzles out a bit?
Where it just kind of blanks out and you just see what's there?
Yeah, but it does it in such a way as, like, it breaks apart. It's so difficult to explain. I'll have to see if I can find some footage, because I couldn't record any of this. But it was just a really nice small effect that I kept noticing and kept thinking, oh, beautiful.
That's interesting. Now I'm going to have to look that up. I guess I'll just watch the video when you absolutely edit in this footage. Now you're locked into it, committed.
Oh, how am I going to find all this footage?
So moving on to whatever else they had, which was literally Divinity and then anime.
You're not wrong, actually.
Yeah, it was just all anime. They had Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters, which we already know. It's a Switch version. It's literally the PS4 version with the same horrible load times, the same graphic quality, really. It looks nice, it plays nice, it's just got really bad load times. It's impressive
they got it onto a handheld.
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort that's gone into it. It looks like a fine game if you like Dragon Ball Fighters.
Right. And I would be willing to double dip on the Switch version just to have it portably. It's a fun game. And then moving on to more anime, they had My Hero Academia. I think it's called One's Justice in the West.
Oh, it was Dungeon Siege 3 I was thinking of.
Oh, that's the 3. Like 5 hours later, you just wake up in the middle of the night. You're like, Dungeon Siege!
I just searched 3 in my Steam library because I knew I owned it.
Also, I ninja checked that Divinity game. Apparently, the one you're thinking of is a spin-off to Divinity. It's not part of the main series, but it is developed by Larian.
That's good to know. I'll play it at some point.
Yeah.
So, okay. Jump Force? My Hero Academia? Which one are we going for?
Let's go with Jump Force.
Okay, what did you think of Jump Force? Because I'm not a fighter fan.
I thought it was like a mix of all the bad things I've not liked from all the... Yeah, it's like all the bad Dragon Ball 3D fighters came together and were like, let's take the bad mechanics from all of these, yay!
Okay, run me through some of the bad ones, because I don't understand.
the punching felt a lot like Raging Blast 2, where you're not really connecting. You're connecting with, like, the thing, and it doesn't feel visceral. You don't feel like you're punching it. I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit too much of a nerd. It didn't feel like I was actually connecting. It felt like I was connecting with a punch, and then it'd, like, wait half a beat, and then they'd go flying off. It felt so, like, there was so much of a dissonance between what I was inputting and what was happening on screen.
Now, I do agree with that, but I also think that that split second of no impact gives you the perception of impact. It feels like you've smacked their face is rippling with the blast, and then they get forced away.
I think it's been done
you
better.
Not feel that?
I felt like it was too much of a delay. It felt more jank than heavy impact, because I've seen it done better in other Bandai Namco published Dragon Ball fighting games. I do like the kind of cute idea where it is like a real life meets anime kind of deal.
Oh my god, the graphic style was stunning, and I didn't think it deserved to be. It was so surreal.
The graphics were way larger focus than almost anything it felt like, and the graphics did impress me, but they did, when they were showing us in the video theater where we weren't playing it, they showed us, what is it, like a benchmark? Where it just flew through the level, like the camera was above it and flew through the level, and you could see the frame rate was like, It wasn't happy. So, what did you think? Because I'm probably too meticulous with this because I've played too many of these games, so maybe I'm a bit too harsh.
I mean, the problem is I'm not meticulous enough, because obviously I don't play any fighter games. They're beyond me. But I felt the sense of impact that you didn't. Every punch felt weighted, the attacks felt fluid, the combos streamed into each other, and you could feel that each character had a punch to pack. And while they were all different and unique in their playstyle, I felt comfortable jumping between them, even only having 10 minutes experience in the game. It felt like it had a really nice entry level to it.
Well, that's good to have an entry level into it, because I feel like this is... I mean, none of these games have ever been competitive, so I think they always do want to have, like, an entry level barrier that's fairly low to let anyone jump in and try it and get kind of, you know, decent at playing it. I wasn't a fan, honestly.
I mean, of both of those, I feel like you're the most qualified to say you're not a fan. I just saw pretty graphics, I saw people flying around, the attacks felt impactful, forceful, they had the animations to match it, and it was a spectacle to see, is what I will say. I can't really speak about it mechanically, or much about how it feels beyond kapow, but...
I think it does have potential in there to be a better game. I just feel like, and it's certainly better than the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games. But one of the biggest complaints is that it kind of harkens back, is that I felt the impact was very weak, very missing, but not as bad as Xenoverse. I think they've improved a bit from that, and I'm not sure what development team is on this. I know Spike Chunsoft is involved in some form, and I do trust them heavily as a developer to create a good game. But as far as recent Namco anime fighters that aren't made by Arc System, they've not been impressing me lately.
What I will say is, I am interested in the story mode of this, if it actually does. I hope it contains one, because I'd love to see how all these characters come together and interact in a single universe. I've always loved that about compilation games. Like Subspace Emissary and Smash Brothers was amazing. Yeah. I adored it. Yeah,
that's always a fun part, and that's an easy way to get people invested and excited for it. So hopefully they do have that. I don't think they mentioned if it would or not, but with the way they were focusing on, like, oh, they're on Earth, I feel like they wouldn't try to absolutely press that fact if there wasn't, like, a story mode or some sort of focus on that.
I mean, there'd be no point in exposition if there's no plot to go with it.
Yeah.
So, on the note of fighters, My Hero Academia.
I love it.
Really?
Yeah! I think it's great. It feels a lot like the Tenkaichi games. It feels... The camera can be a bit jank. You can be a bit disoriented because it's moving so much. But I love the action. I love the movement. I love how just, like, frenetic it is. It's great.
See, I loved again, it's the impact that stood out to me and how weighty your attacks felt. And My Hero Acca didn't actually have the same kind of weight that Jump Force did. Instead, it had the like cartoon pow and whack, and you just thought, "Oh, this is a good punch. This is a cartoon punch."
Right, with all the comic styled stuff that they go with.
Just being able to destroy the environment around you, you can feel your attacks are doing something. It feels like the fight with. It's like I forgot. I'm the worst anime fan. All for One. One for All. There we go.
You got it.
He's called One for All.
All Might?
Yeah. If him.
I was like, oh, we got it. And
then
I was like,
his name was One for All.
That's his power.
Yeah. You wouldn't think I watched this show. But yeah, it actually felt like it was one of his. It felt like a fight worthy of his fist. Like when you punched through a pillar, you punched through it. They went flying. It was just so satisfying. But for me, it felt like a really unrefined experience. It felt like while the punches had force, that was all they really had. The direction, it just felt a bit all over the place to me. After half an hour of playing, I still didn't know what I was doing. While Jump Force, it all kind of came intuitively. All the attacks flowed. What do you think? Am I just missing something?
I think it's just because we come from different backgrounds on this kind of genre, because with Jump Force, I was like, this is more of the same generic, what I've seen before. One's Justice was like all over the place, and I loved it because that's what I kind of enjoy about these anime games, is when they're just so ridiculous, over the top. You're doing like 10 things at once. You really don't know what's going on, but on some level you kind of can. Base instinct, you know what to press, you know what to do, when to dodge. And that's what makes it so fun, is that it's so ridiculous and over the top.
I'll give it that, okay. Do you know if this one's gonna have a story then?
I'm not sure, actually. I think I read something that it wouldn't have a story mode, but I'm not entirely sure.
See, it being a licensed game for an anime series, it puts into question with me, like, if it does have a story, will it be repeating parts of the show? Will it be offering side stories? Will it be a non-canon spin-off? These are the things on my mind.
The best you can hope for when it comes to these games is total retelling of usually the first 1 or 2 acts or the 1 or 2 seasons of the show. And then, if you're lucky, you get some kind of little what-if scenarios.
I mean, I remember the Full Metal Alchemist game on the PSP. I loved that. It was an average fighting game, like a beat-em-up side-scroller, but it was just so enjoyable to play in the universe. The universe sold it to me, and I was hoping that My Hero Acca might do the same.
That will be a hopeful thing. Also, King is the developer who's not done anything other than the Gunslinger series, apparently.
The Gunslinger games are quite good, though, aren't they, from my memory?
Interesting developer. They also worked... The staff from the company worked on Street Fighter 3. So that's their background. I don't know if that means much.
To me, it means very little, but to a Street Fighter fan, they might go, gross. I hated Street Fighter 3.
Oh no! Just the comments are just like, people are burning with fire in their eyes. They're like, how dare you? First you said this about Street Fighter 5, now 3!
Well, I mean, 5 is the one everyone loves to hate because it's trash.
Yeah.
Even as an outsider, I know this.
Okay, yes, there is a story mode. And story that is exclusive to the game.
Okay, so that does give non-fighters such as myself a reason to jump in and be like, well then, there must be an easy option on this game.
And if you beat the story mode, you get to play as the villain mode where you see from the bad guy's perspective, which is cute.
Oh my god, I love games like that.
So that's interesting. I dig that.
I mean, have you played Command & Conquer 3?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, I love it because it has the 2 campaigns, GDI and NOD. GDI is obviously the good guys, a global defense initiative, and Nod are the bad guys trying to blow up the world, whatever. But if you play as Nod first, you will spend the first mission fucking up a GDI satellite base. And then the first mission on the GDI base is taking back the satellite base. So if you just keep alternating stories, you get to see Nod just keep screwing them up and prodding them, then GDI doing the pushback. And it's like, whoa, this is amazing. You feel more involved in it.
That's cute.
I mean, it's kind of like Hyrule Warriors as well. I'm sure you played Hyrule Warriors right at the end, where it's like, okay then, we've just beaten Sia, and she's sealed away, and now, oh no, we're playing as Ganon. We're gonna fuck everyone up. And now we're Link again, and now we have to undo what we just did.
Yeah, that's a trippy mechanic or kind of feature in games.
It was the strangest back and forth. So, other games there.
I think all that was left, at least that I can remember, was Soul Calibur?
There was Soul Calibur, but I purposely avoided it after my previous experience.
Wow, you monster. Oh, you already got to try it, didn't you? And you got slam jammed.
I played a previous demo. I knew that they had more characters in this one. I knew that it's come a bit further along with a few more stages, but I wouldn't have been able to appreciate them. I wouldn't have even realised which ones were the new characters.
Honestly, me either. I tried playing Soul Calibur 2 on the GameCube.
Well, let me guess. Yes, because Link.
Yeah. I tried to get an idea because I wanted to go to E3 and not seem like a total pleb tier, but it didn't work. I was like, who is this? Ooh.
I mean, my last Bandai Namco event, I was talking to somebody as I played Soul Calibur, because he played with me and recorded some footage with me, thankfully. He was good at the game, so he managed to show it off for me. But he was like, so have you played it before? I was like, well, I played 2. He just turned to me, like, gave me the dirtiest look, and he just said, it's because of Link, isn't it? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's such a fun character, though.
They do have the coolest, kind of third-party inclusions. I will give them that.
I mean, they have Darth Vader in one of them, didn't they? And Yoda.
Yeah, and Yoda.
Before?
That, I think, was 4, and then 5 had Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
Oh my god, yeah.
So they go weird places, and now this one's big major draw is going to be the dude from Witcher.
Oh god, yeah, I remember the announcement of that. I've forgotten his name again.
Geralt?
Yesterday.
I don't want to...
Geralt.
Okay, Geralt. Alright. I don't know how you, like...
I want to say that's his name.
I always botch pronunciations, especially when they're from studios that aren't, like, American with our horrible pronunciations.
Limited vocabulary. Damn peasants butchering our English.
As you sip your tea with your British flag flying in the background.
I actually have a German flag in my room, I'll have you know.
Wow, traitor.
I know, right?
You're the second person I know that has a German flag flying in their room. What is with that?
It's not necessarily flying. I kind of tied it around my arm at some point.
That's half as majestic as the word flying, though. Let me have my visual image of this, like, gust of wind in your room that is just blowing this flag so carefully and majestically.
I joke, but I will send you a picture when we're done here, because I wore it as I walked up the Rock of Gibraltar around my arm, and it was beautiful.
That is hilarious.
Oh my god. So, the last game I played, anyway, was Adventure Time. Did you get to try it?
That wasn't there for us.
Was it not?
Nope.
Well, I mean, obviously, being an uncultured swine, I'm not into Adventure Time. I get it's a huge thing for a lot of people, but I've just never really found the time to try it. This game was, to the best of my knowledge, a very good representation of the kind of humour, the kind of storytelling that at least my limited knowledge of the series has come to know. If you like the series, you'll probably get a good kick out of it. If not, you might still get a laugh. It's got some good cheap humour in.
I, too, am an uncultured swine, so I don't know anything about it, but I know... I think the other games, like, they had some games on the 3DS that I think were fairly well received for being licensed.
I remember one of them ripped off Zelda 2, didn't they?
Oh, there was a rip-off one of them. I want to say WayForward helped develop one.
I remember a big deal being made out of one that was like Zelda 2, but I don't remember which game it was. I mean, of all the Zeldas to rip off Zelda too.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Also, yeah, WayForward did. So the Shantae developers helped make the one on the 3DS.
I'm a bit jealous you can just kind of type and find things really quickly, because if I typed, you would hear it.
Clack, 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 clack.
I mean, literally.
Don't bring in my mechanical keyboard. I've driven off everyone on Discord by being in a call and going clack, 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 clack. Luckily, I have my phone, and I already kind of know this off the top of my head, so really I'm just fact-checking myself. Help, I have all this useless knowledge in my head. This is the one time I get to show off.
You can go. Be yourself. You are the senior editor for a reason.
Oh boy. But, going back to Soul Calibur 6, I just want to say, I don't know Soul Calibur. I barely played Soul Calibur, but, Geralt's, his attacks are so awesome. I love the game. I feel like it's really fun, and I'm gonna pick it up when it releases. But I feel like the major issue I had is that, I don't know, because I kept kicking people that, like, actually were, you know, good at the game. I was kicking them off stage and out of bouncing them by just kind of mashing.
Yeah, I managed to beat the guy I played, like, in the first event, like, once out of 10, but I managed to do it by just pushing him off the stage.
Yeah, that's where I got most of my victories, because, I was playing with a dude, I don't know, but he was all like, oh yeah, I love Soul Calibur 3 and 4, and blah blah blah, and he was acting like he was, like, a long-time veteran. And then I was just like, slap, 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 out of bounds. And then I fought Hell's Malice, who's like, I've been playing since the first Soul Calibur. And then I was like, slap, 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 out of bounds. And the look on his face, because I did it like 3 times in a row, and he looked like he was about to beat my head in with the fight stick, but...
Oh my god.
I mean, it just really felt kind of simple to bash people out of bounds. I don't know if I was just lucky or what.
I mean, as like, people who actually know how to play the game would know, they'll know how to avoid these things if they'll play the game long enough to be able to recognize them, counter them, and then just kind of stomp on your head when you try to do them.
Hopefully, but for when that launches, I'm gonna go online and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna push you all out of bounds, I will be the number one. Fear me.
I would fear you, I'm not gonna lie.
So is that it for Namco? Are we all
I think
kosher?
that's everything, you know.
Alright. So overall, I think it was great. I think that their E3 presence, they had a lot of solid stuff. Even the stuff I didn't like was still fairly popular, and it had a lot of good stuff that people were excited for.
So, what was your best and worst, then, of Bandai Namco at E3?
Honestly, if I want to give it to what interests me the most, I would say Divinity 2. If I wanted to give it to the game that I wanted to play and take home with me and steal, I would give it to the Hero Academia booth. And I guess most disappointing would go to Jump Force, although I didn't really outright hate anything they had. Just Jump Force brought me the most disdain.
Okay, that's fair enough. From what you said, it makes sense.
So what are your top and boring?
I feel like Code Vein is the top for me. I spent about 2 hours playing out of my 4 hours. I got a good like feel from the game, and I really liked what I saw. It made me want to try Dark Souls, but at the same time not, because I don't want to be bad at Code Vein when I pick it up. The worst is difficult because I don't think I'm qualified to call a lot of what was there bad, because I don't understand it. Like, My Hero Acca and Jump Force are both games that obviously I have no kind of say in. Fighting games are beyond my comprehension. Adventure Time is, again, the humor was fun, it was quirky, it was nice, but I didn't get it. The Ice King's kingdom has melted, that's cool. So? Like,
I can understand what you're saying.
It's hard to say one thing is worse than another thing. My actual worst experience might actually just be Divinity, purely because I didn't have the time I needed to sit down, get comfortable, and just play and experience every part of it. Without that, it's hard to like truly imagine the scope and the joy the game will bring me.
I'm sorry, guys. I gotta be right back. I gotta go kill Scarlet. 1 second. But I can understand that because it's a very weird game to bring to a press event because that's something you can't really convey in the time that you're given.
It just feels like it's such a personal experience, and to try and show it off in a limited amount of time where you want to be playing other things as well, you can't sit down, have the full concentration and the full time you need to really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's entirely understandable.
So yeah, I think that's everything we have. Any last words before we close it?
I have to say your taste in fighting games is trash, and so are you.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll do more of these in future, so stick around and leave a comment if it's something you'd like to see. Until the next time, I have been Scarlet. This Miss Senior Editor has been Chary.
I think that's my name.
See ya.
See ya.